Alright, hey guys, welcome to another tutorial. It's been a while, but I'm back on. Today, you already know what we're gonna do, but this is the original shot. This is what it looked like before I did anything. Actually at work today, I was at work and a customer asked, what are those dots on your fingers? And I tried to explain her that I do visual effects and motion tracking, and that's what I did today. But anyways, so you can see the final result here, and obviously it looks pretty cool. The lens flares on top of that, these are Video Copilot's lens flares. You can obviously use the built-in lens flares with After Effects if you don't have the Video Copilot one. But yeah, I'm going to use the Video Copilot just because they look really good. And obviously you can get some interesting effects here for sure. Alright, so to jump in here, this is kind of what we have. This is the kind of final result here. You can see I've already moved the tracking markers on my fingers. You don't see them anymore. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Got this. It looks pretty cool. So the way I started out with, obviously I had the background there. And then what I have is the finger covers. Now I only did these after I tracked the dots on the fingers. I'll show you how to do that in just a second, but I'm going to break down the scene real quick first. So what I did was, obviously I get my background, I track motion, and then this comes up and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Whoops. And I'm going to drag that over to one of the dots on my fingers. And I'm at the beginning of my composition here. I'm going to make sure that this dot completely covers the small one, and then most of the finger at least covers the next one. This is kind of just how I figured it worked out best for this situation. It's different for everyone. And then you just go ahead and analyze forward. Once you're analyzing forward, and let's say it makes a mistake a little later on, you can stop it, hold control in the back key, and you can go back to where it was back on track, and you can, instead of adjusting it, you can just click one frame ahead and you can keep going until it messes up, and as soon as it messes up you can drag it back to where it's supposed to be and then continue. And let's say it went off there again. Let's say we'll go back 2 frames, and instead of adjusting it again, we'll just play it 1 frame forward. If it gets it correct there, great. If it doesn't, we fix it, and so on. Alright, you get the idea. And obviously I applied that to the null, and I have 1 null for each finger, 1 being the thumb, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And once I have those nulls, I turn them off just because it makes it easier, but you can turn it on and you can see what it looks like. You'll see it follows the finger, and so you can see obviously this stuff gets in the way, so I just keep it off just so I can see what's going on. Alright, and you'll see that you have the keyframes for the position of that null over there. Alright, how do we get the lines? Okay, so here's what we do. Let's find the correct one here. Okay, so I have this line over here, right? This is what I have. What I did was I just created a solid. I applied the beam effect. I put the length at 100. It starts at 50 and it's like only got half the distance between the 2 points. I'll click on here. So between these 2 points, it's at 50. When you first apply the effect, it only covers half of this. So I put it all the way to 100. Time at 50, because that means that it's gonna cover the whole thing. If the time is at 0, it'll be at the starting point, which is here, and there'll be nothing. You won't see the effect. If it's at 100, your whole line will be on the end point. Alright, so what I have is the starting thickness and the end, excuse me, not the starting, the ending point and the start point. Alright, I have the start point on the thumb, and I have the ending point on the index finger, the pointing finger. What I do is I alt click the stopwatch on the starting position. I'm going to apply the starting position to the thumb. What I do is, let's pull it out here. So starting point, I alt click on that stopwatch. Then I have the pick whip. I drag the pick whip all the way down to the position of the null object on that. That's where the thumb is, right? So then I click out of here and it's going to be attached to that. I do the same thing with the end point of this. Alt click on the stopwatch on the beam effect, drag the pick whip onto the null 2, because that's this null object here. And drag it onto the position there. So let's see, where is it? Right over here. I'll drag the pick whip onto the position 2. and it'll be attached to your null over there. Right, so now you have that there, and you do the same for the other ones. The way I got the lens flares is very similar. I just select the position of the optical flares. You can also just alt click the stopwatch here on the position. You can pick whip it onto the position of whichever null it would correspond to. So on the thumb here, I've got the lens flare here. I will drag the pick whip onto the position of the null 1, so it'll be over there. And then you can adjust the brightness accordingly. Right over here, I actually keyframed it. That's how I had it kind of flicker in the beginning there. Do a RAM preview real quick. And that's kind of how I get that flicker in the beginning. I just adjusted the brightness there. At the beginning here it was 0, and then it went all the way up over my target, which was 55, I believe. And then I went back down to 20, and then I went back up to 40, and then 50, and that's when the beam starts coming out. So how did I start that beam? I got to keyframe it. So let's see, down here I keyframed the time. So right now this is where the time starts. Over here it's at 0. You can see the keyframe right over here, and then when I hit 50%, not 100%, it'll hit the end point. Okay, and obviously you can drag these out to make them as long or as short as you want. I did the same with all the others, and that's how I kind of got them to move out like that. They're pretty cool. On top of that, how did I move the tracking points? So what I did was on the finger cover here, let's go ahead and go to the beginning. If I turn this off, you'll see there's a tracking point. So what I did was I grabbed an adjustment layer. This is just an adjustment layer, so are the others. I grabbed the masking tool. I drew a mask over the dot, you can see over there. Then I applied the fast blur and curves. The fast blur is blurriness at 179. It just depends on what you have. Repeat edge pixels, and then down here in the properties of the mask, I will adjust the feather and I'll adjust the pixel expansion. It depends how big the circle is and so on. I tried to make the dots as small as possible just to make sure that they're easier to cover. And then with the curves, what I did was I just adjusted the brightness and so on just to try and match the finger like that. And then you might have to pull out the red a bit because there's some red in the skin. So let's see over here. Okay, that looks pretty decent, better than before. I'm just going to go back out here and I'll show you the final. That's what it looks like there. Obviously with the mask, the positioning is a little differently. I couldn't pick whip the position of the null onto here. So what I did was I went to the corresponding null object, made sure I was at the beginning of my composition, copied the position of the null for that finger. Let's see, right over there, that one. And I pasted it on the on the path of the, right over here, on the transform on the position for the adjustment layer. Alright, and right after that I may have had to move the whole composition. That's why you see all of this out of here. Just to show you what I'm talking about, let me just click on the position here, and you can see that I had to move that. So right over here you see I had to move it. That's just kind of a weird thing I had to do. It was just a particular case. You might be able to pick whip it. If it doesn't work, copy the position of the null and paste it onto this, and do the same for the others. It's pretty straightforward. And just back to the glow on the beams. So right over here, let's go up here. So you'll see that there's some glow on the actual line, right? What I did, you can copy these if you'd like. They might be different a little in your case, but what I did was the glow threshold 68, glow radius 84, intensity 1.5, and that just adds a little glow on the line itself. You can obviously change the color of the beam, and so on. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you took something away from it. I always learn something new from these little things. Hope you guys did too. If you did enjoy, consider subscribing. I will be making more in the future. There's also a bunch of stuff you can go look from the past that I've done. But yeah, otherwise, until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep shooting.